Welcome to a new episode of 5 Minutes to Learn. This is your host, Michael Reisinger. Let's get into this. So this was a topic that came from a listener. I did a poll or a questionnaire on the Instagram, which, by the way, if you are not following us on Instagram, you need to get over there because that is the pulse of KCBC, and all of our updates are usually over there. Why relationships matter over talent in a business. So let's first talk about what talent is. So talent is, somebody's ability to do a job well. It's their ability to do something in a way that only they can do it. And it's usually part of their natural ability honed with, a lot of encouragement along the way and a lot of learning. And they've just become very talented at a certain thing. Like, for example, there are people that are just very talented at, connecting with people, talking to them, figuring out what's important to them. And those folks will usually do well in a sales role if they can understand and leverage that talent. And funny that I mentioned sales because that is a profession that is highly reliant on strong relationships. And so if we take this topic and we bring it into the context of running a company, oftentimes company will say, we need to win the war on talent. We need to find the best talent if we're going to maintain our market share and have a competitive advantage over companies we're competing with. That comes up a lot. And what you'll see is when talent is sort of put on a pedestal and almost worshipped at a certain level, the relationships become sort of secondary. And I've seen this happen where maybe there was somebody who was really good in a job, but they were not great at communicating with people. They weren't maybe they weren't a good leader. They weren't good at compelling other people to work towards a common goal. And so their talent, because that was put as the priority, there was an expectation by, themselves and other people that, hey, I'm the best person at this job, so I get to stay in this job, and, relationships with my coworkers are secondary, okay? The other aspect of this is that, if we're focusing on the relationships in the company, that is what hones people and hones their talent. If I have an organization that is full of the most talented people in the world at what they do, but we don't have a strong relationship, or we don't have a strong culture, you listen to my other episode about how to make an amazing work culture, then we really don't have the ability to do a lot of things. We actually have some things that are impeding our growth as a company, because if we could have strong relationships, we could probably accomplish a lot more. There's that saying that we're better together. 2 heads are better than one. 5 heads are better than one. And when people are in silos, and they don't have those relationships, there's a lot that can't happen. So they can't grow because they're not being challenged maybe. They don't get to practice or hone and become better at what they do because there isn't a relationship to foster that. And so there's just a lot of strength in relationships. If you can think of the best relationships, strong relationships are going to be a key component in that mix. This is another thing too, that you think that your customers or your clients can't see how strong the relationships are or are not in your company. You have to rethink that, because companies, when they don't have good relationships inside, that results in dropped calls, dropped balls, dropped messages, things that don't necessarily make it from the customer to the person that can help them in the best way, right? And now if there's good relationships, and I've seen it where maybe I call a company to get some issue worked out with my Wi-Fi or quality of a product I received, and maybe I talk to the first customer service agent and they don't have the power, they haven't been equipped to handle my need, and then they escalate it to the next person or maybe their manager. I can always tell that they've got great relationships if they, do a warm handoff on the call where they introduce me to the next person, or the next person that I speak with has a well-informed update as to where my situation is, so I don't have to start over with them on the phone and tell them as if I was calling the first person. That's just a way that I've been able to tell if a company has great relationships. I remember there was a car dealership that my wife and I were buying a car from one time, and the person was already staying late to help us, and they had to get going for a family appointment and introduced us to the rep that was going to finish our signing of our paperwork and all that. And the experience that we had with that person was exactly the great experience that we had with the first person. You could tell that they valued communication. They valued that handoff. And so anyway, I've kind of gone over time here, but I hope that this has been helpful for some folks to just get you rethinking about that talent and relationship dichotomy there. Thanks for listening to 5 Minutes to Learn.